The following contest is scheduled for one fall, and it's for the PCW Tag Team Championship! Coming down the aisle, your PCW Tag Team Champions, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve!
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 30 of Podcast Championship Wrestling, hosted by your podcast tag team champions of the world, the men of 2,000 holds, Natal and Steve. How you doing today, Steve?
Pretty good. Better than last week and not sad with anything wrestling-wise, you know?
Are you sure? Because I thought that Raw finish was pretty sad, but we'll get into that later. But first, let's start off with the usual stuff. Guys, if you want to contribute in any way, shape, or form to this podcast or the So Says Natal podcast or Fight Your Rival, email me at sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Follow me on Twitter for all updates of the podcast world and just my social life. I'm actually getting better. Posted a ton of photos about controllers at So Says Natal1. Speaking of photos, follow me on Instagram at So Says Natal, and keep that Facebook going strong, facebook.com/So Says Natal. And don't forget, you can find this podcast on Stitcher, SoundCloud, and iTunes, especially iTunes. Give us those 5-star ratings. Share with your friends. Tell everyone around the world about us. Right now, we're kind of in the indie scene, and we're trying to move up into the main event. Since we're already on the indie circuit, we might as well talk about the development part of WWE.
Ooh, I like that. I like the way you did that.
Right? Which is NXT. Now, there's not much to go over. Don't forget, guys, this week we're finally going to get Samoa Joe versus Sami Zayn for the number one contender spot for the NXT World Championship title.
Yeah, this should be fun. It should be exciting. I want Samoa Joe to win, just because, again, I want Sami Zayn to have to chase a little bit longer, and it'd be cool to have a second chapter with Finn Balor, because I really liked what they did leading up to London and their match at London.
I totally agree, and this could go either way. I mean, Balor could retain the title again, and it shows that Balor's that strong of a champion, or it could go around Joe's waist this time around, and then we could get another go-ahead, because Balor will then be able to get his rematch for his title.
Yeah, so it'd be another fun way to keep it going, but hell yeah, this should be really exciting.
And since we're talking about title swapping on NXT, the last main thing we want to discuss about last week's NXT, because the rest of the card wasn't really all that good.
Yeah.
We felt bad for the people who were watching it. But nonetheless, this one is definitely worth going back and watching. It was the NXT Women's title match, and it was Bayley versus Carmella. Carmella's first time ever, going for a title shot in NXT. And I have to say, the match was pretty good for what it was.
Yeah, it was nothing like spectacular, but it wasn't a bad match by any means. They told a good story throughout the match, about it being Carmella's first, shot ever at a championship in NXT. They played off the beginning pretty well, where, they were giving each other respect and, trying to keep it friendly, and then it just boiled down into a good match.
The one thing I really liked about the match was the crowd. When obviously Bayley came out, the crowd's all about Bayley.
Oh yeah, they love it.
We know Carmella has no chance. It's just going to be a display match. It's going to be fun and exciting. And Carmella had one of the best spots in the match. It was her doing a dive outside between the ropes, and it was a crossbody splash. And she not only did it once, but she did it twice because the crowd was chanting for it one more time.
Yeah, and it looked really cool.
It looked great. She actually landed them both really nice. And after the second one, she picked up Bayley and rolled her in. She didn't have time to gloat. She was like, let me try to win this title.
Yeah, it showed how important it was to her.
And I loved it because then we had the crowd chanting, Carmella, or how you doing? So I thought that was really cool that she was able to get her little spot in this world title match, where I honestly thought Bayley was just going to pretty much steal the show and Carmella was going to be there to help her go through a good match.
Yeah, and also it's like you could tell the crowd loves Bayley and they like Carmella, so it was fun to hear the crowd during the match not being super Bayley heavy.
Yes.
When Carmella had that good run going, the crowd was behind Carmella and it was cool. It made it more exciting.
And the match ended with Bayley retaining the title. They had a couple of quick pins, and
yeah, it was cool. A bunch of pin reversals and stuff like that. And the last one, Bayley was able to hold on.
Bayley flipped over Carmella, kept her, kept her shoulders to the mat, got the 3-1. Carmella left to give Bayley her little, time in the ring, and then Carmella gets attacked outside by Eva Marie and Nia Jax. Well, Nia Jax just standing there, more just being attacked by Eva Marie.
But I guess if you're being attacked by Eva Marie and Nia Jax, it's really not like the doom's not that impending. It's just like, oh, it's those two. Like, whatever. They can't do anything right.
Yeah, pretty much. So they attack Carmella. They beat up on Bayley outside. They throw Carmella in the ring. Asuka comes out. Basically just stops everything without even doing anything.
Yeah, they just look at her and they're like, no, we're not messing with her.
Yeah, so Eva and Nia Jax are like dipping out. They're like, F this nonsense. We ain't not bothering with this crazy girl. I wouldn't bother with Asuka. That girl creeps me out too. Man, she can wrestle. So Bayley's in the ring and she's all happy with her title. And the best is Asuka gives her that 7-day smile. You're going to die in 7 days. And just brushes the title 3 times and then walks away.
Yeah, just like, keep it shiny for me. And it was a cool thing where you don't have to say a lot, but it's already implied there. I want this. I want what you're holding. And it's something that I'm excited to see. I'm looking forward to what Bayley and Asuka can do together.
I can't wait also, but before Bayley and Asuka, I hope we get Bayley Emma. I do believe Emma deserves her comeuppance, and she has to win the NXT title at least once.
I mean, I agree that I would like to see Bayley against Emma, but I don't want to see Emma with a run with the title right now. Just because, again, like NXT, you don't really have short title reigns. I'm just loving Bayley's title reign right now. She's one of the more exciting things. I'm actually enjoying her as champ more than Finn Balor.
Yes.
So I want her to hold on to that more, and Asuka's pretty new, and she could take the loss, kind of like how Apollo Crews came in, and he took that loss against Baron Corbin, and it's okay. Well, like Asuka can lose this match against Bayley, and then again, Bayley looks even stronger as the champ because like look who she's beat, and Asuka has a place to go from there too. So, and as much as I would like to see Emma involved some way, I mean, I don't see how they can factor her in right now.
You're right.
There's time to do something, but right now I think it's going to lead to these two, and I'm really excited for it.
No, I am really excited for it too, and you made a good point. See, when I automatically saw Asuka going for it, I was like, well, there you go. Bayley's probably going to end up losing the title because Asuka is, besides Emma, are the other female that I believe that could, take it away from Bayley. But if Bayley did beat Asuka, something I did not even think of, the opposite side of the coin, that would be fantastic because, yeah, it would make Bayley look strong. Not only did she beat Sasha, but she also beat Asuka and Nia and Eva and Emma.
No, not Emma yet, but then eventually you could add her, and it's the thing where it's like the list keeps growing and growing, and when someone finally beats Bayley, it's a really big deal, and I think Bayley just carries it really well, and she waited so long to be the champ that I feel like she really deserves like an extended run, like 9-10 months, like something like that, like a really long kind of run, maybe even you build someone up, and then when they come back around to New York and they do the takeover there, Bayley drops it a year later, and you have the story, she lost the title in the place where she won it, whatever, but
that'd be great.
Yeah, it would be cool, and still, it's a really long, nice run for Bayley, who really deserves it.
She definitely does deserve it, and I know they're probably going to move her up to the main roster and then just ruin her, but before they do that, I'm definitely happy with the push she's getting. She is a great women's champion. Yeah. She does carry that portion of NXT really well because now that portion has a lot of new faces, a lot of people I'm not too familiar with, so it's nice to see her there working with the rest of the talent that they have and actually strengthening them and making them all formidable opponents.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty about NXT. You really see that happen with the competitors when they work with each other, and then they get called up, and when they get called up, it's usually like NXT's not in a bad spot. I mean, you get sad because like someone that you like leaves, but it's like, oh man, this role isn't filled now. It's because but somebody's learned enough where like they could kind of step in. So I mean, eventually the women's division is going to have to do that because I don't want Bayley to stay in NXT for forever. But right now, I think she's just fantastic down there.
And with WWE doing all things fantastic on NXT, we're going to slide right into SmackDown, which I still think they're doing a pretty good job. We're not going to go over the whole entire episode. There are some things that we just want to mention real quick. And the main thing is really just the whole AJ Styles Chris Jericho angle. That's the main thing we really want to mention about when it comes to SmackDown. So first things first, we were going to get Jericho AJ at the beginning of SmackDown. What a way to start it off.
Yeah, it's a pretty hot start.
But then Social Outcast came in, talked the talk, talked a bunch of trash. Chris Jericho bopped Heath Slater over the head with a microphone.
That was great.
Which I thought was fantastic. And then we got an impromptu match because, Chris Jericho, since he doesn't wear shirts anymore, he has the authority to basically make matches on the fly. He's been doing this since Monday Night Raw. The trend is still going on SmackDown. So he makes a tag team match between him and AJ against the Social Outcast. The match is whatever. The best part of the match is Jericho and AJ doing whatever you could do, I could do better portion.
Yeah, I thought that was really fun, and that was basically like the main purpose to the match, but it advanced what's going on with AJ and Jericho right now, which I found entertaining.
And what I really liked is AJ got the win. Jericho was doing his thing, and he was going to go for the code breaker, and AJ tagged himself in and did the springboard elbow, went for the pin, took the victory away from Jericho. He comes out looking strong, which I thought was really cool about that.
Yeah, and it's something else for Jericho to be like pissed off about.
Exactly.
Too.
So let's fast forward all the way to the end of SmackDown where they actually have their match. And we're not going to go into too detail about the match, but overall, the match was incredible. We don't want to spoil anything about the match. The Men of 2000 Holds actually want you to go back and watch this match.
Yeah, this really is like a go out of your way and watch it match. It was really good.
And it was on SmackDown, which makes me really happy. Again, they're really trying to make SmackDown somewhat relevant in their wrestling world, which is a really good thing.
Yeah, especially with this feud. This feud seems to be like the main thing going on SmackDown right now, which is good. It showcases AJ Styles and makes him seem like, a little bit more of a player. Granted, yeah, it's just on SmackDown, but it's still a higher level spotlight on it. And he's in the program with someone like Jericho, and it's just a lot of exposure for AJ.
I just love it because he's wrestling on Raw and SmackDown, so you get back-to-back AJ Styles all the time. And more Jericho, please. Like, I can't complain. We love Chris Jericho. So to have AJ have his first main run in WWE with a wrestler that, both of us really respect and love is fantastic. They're really doing him right. I feel a little bad for the rest of the development that came up from NXT and now a Tyler Breeze or something that they're not really doing anything with them.
Yeah, or Adrian Neville.
Or Neville, great talent. Luckily Big E, got with the whole New Day thing with Xavier Woods and Kofi. But, you got AJ and he's getting the proper push. They're really grooming this guy in a way that the crowd could get behind him real fast, real quick.
Yeah, which is good. It's smart. We'll see how long it lasts. But right now, I'm enjoying it because I've, again, never followed him too hardcore because I don't stray out of the WWE as much. But I've been watching him on and off from TNA, and I've always been a fan of his. So this is awesome.
And just to ruin the end of the match for you guys, we're not going to ruin the best part, but we're not going to ruin the whole thing, but just the ending. Jericho takes the win. So now the rivalry is tied to Uno and Uno, one-on-one, which is pretty sweet. He wins with a code breaker. Gets the code breaker and pins AJ.
And it's good. It makes for a great dynamic. It's not so one-sided, and now they're on an even playing field. We both have a win over each other. We're both starting to learn each other's moves a little bit better. They're scouting each other out. It was good. This match was different from the match that they had on Raw. And obviously, it seems like it's slowly progressing towards Fastlane, which I'm fine with. I want to see these guys in a pay-per-view with 15 minutes or something like that. I think they put up an awesome match. So it's been exciting, and it was a nice end to SmackDown. It bookended with Jericho and AJ, which was a really cool thing.
And on this week's episode of SmackDown, before Fastlane, Brock Lesnar's actually going to show up. So that's another big thing for SmackDown. We're actually getting the Beast incarnate himself actually appearing on SmackDown.
Yeah, and I think they said it's his first time in the show and on the show in over 10 years or something like that. So it's a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal, something like that.
Anything to get people to watch SmackDown.
And the last thing about SmackDown before we jump into Monday Night Raw, we got to talk about the Dudleys. Last week we mentioned that the Dudleys went heel. Yeah. They beat up the Usos. They attacked their rubber legs.
Yeah, they're like, get out of here, Gippy.
Yeah, they're like, get out of here. Your legs are made out of rubber. We ain't got time for rubber legs. So they came out on SmackDown with all these tables outside, and they decided to cut a promo that fell on deaf ears. The crowd did not seem very responsive. It seemed like they really didn't care, which kind of sucked because it was a pretty decent promo. Long story short, it was Bubba Ray basically saying how ever since they came back to the WWE, all they cared about was get the tables, and that's it. Fans don't care about anything else but that. No one ever mentions Dudleys. Everyone just screams tables. So from here on out, they're not here to satisfy the crowd. They're not here to satisfy the WWE Universe. They're here to become 10-time WWE Tag Team Champions and dominate and steamroll over the competition. So they are no longer going to use tables, and that's it. And they had ring crew come and take all the tables away, and then to end the ceremony, they grabbed the last table in the ring together and they closed it up and they walked out. So no more tables in the WWE because the Dudley boys don't want it.
Good. I like the Dudleys as heels, and if this is what the crowd wants, then you can't have it. It gets them away from that nostalgia thing, and it's a nice clear-cut message, where the bad guys, we don't care what you think. I'm all for it.
And hopefully they stop that. What them?
They'll probably hopefully they would. Too. I mean, They can't really play to the crowd. They're bad guys. You got to change up your moveset a little bit.
Hopefully we get more of that Bully Ray you were mentioning last week. Now since they're going back to being heels, which would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But that's about it, guys, for SmackDown. We just want to let you know Dudleys are still heels. No more tables for you. So if you're trying to eat your food, you're gonna have to hold the plate. So the Dudleys took all the tables when it comes to SmackDown. Just don't bring any meals when you go and watch that one. with that out of the way, let's go right into the go-home show of Monday Night Raw for this weekend's Fastlane. Fastlane is this weekend, people.
Yeah, it's crazy. It just kind of like crept up.
It crept up, and
there's nothing at WrestleMania after that.
Yeah,
it's
and
like nothing in March.
Nothing, and then right after that is WrestleMania. We skip a month. I'm surprised because WWE has an event
after WrestleMania. They'll probably give us Elimination Chamber and another random one. They'll give us like 4 stupid pay-per-views.
Yeah, like one of those WWE Network exclusives, maybe a house show that's televised or something like that.
That'd be cool if they did something like that for March.
Yeah, I would be down for that. An MSG taping or something somewhere. We'll see. Who knows? But right now, after Fastlane comes WrestleMania. Let's get right into Monday Night Raw. What a way they started Monday Night Raw off. So we got Dean Ambrose. He's talking about he wants some F5s. He's hungry. Give me some. Yum, yum, yum. Brock Lesnar, you're crap. You're garbage. Your F5s haven't done anything. Yep. You still haven't delivered one to me that's knocked me out. Steph comes out.
Yeah, she don't like what he said.
No, doesn't like what he said. She said, you want an F5? So F5 stands for a Fatal 5-Way for the IC title. And that's how Monday Night Raw started. And the 4 combatants for the IC title were Kevin Owens.
Hell yes.
Yes. Dolph Ziggler.
All right, like he made sense.
Yeah, he makes sense. I do like Dolph. I do. Stardust.
Okay. I like Stardust. It's just
Stardust.
I haven't had any reason to see him in an IC title match, but cool, Stardust.
Yep, and last but not least, Tyler Breeze.
Same thing that I just said for Stardust. Like Tyler Breeze a lot, but like really? Like he's in this match? Cool.
Yeah.
That was kind of my reaction.
Which kind of sucks. I'm in the same boat with you, Steve. From a fan's perspective, I'm happy all these people are in the match. I like all of them. Mm-hmm. From a viewer's perspective, I was like, well, obviously Stardust and Tyler Breeze are there just to like get squashed on.
Yeah, they're there to get beat up. Like they're not going to win the match.
So going into it, I was like, it's either going to be Ambrose, Ziggler, or Owens. One of those 3 are the ones that are going to walk out with the title.
Yeah, those were the only ones you saw as viable winners. I agree.
And surprisingly enough, the match was really long and really good.
It was a really fun match.
For a Fatal 5-Way, Dean Ambrose looked really strong in the match.
Yeah, he was in a lot of it. Because, I mean, it suffered through what those multi-man matches suffer through. Where it's like 2 guys in the ring and everyone just kind of like selling on the outside. There was a lot of moments of that in this match. But Ambrose was fighting in a lot of those moments where it was just like the 2 guys in the ring, which was cool. It made him look strong, and like he said before earlier in the promo before Seth came out, he was like itching for a fight. He wanted to fight, and like he wasn't dodging it in the match, which I enjoyed.
And going back to the whole 2 men in the ring, so we had Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens going at it in the ring, and it ended up with one of my favorite spots. For some reason, Tyler Breeze makes his way back in the ring. Kevin Owens picks him up and dumps him outside onto...
Oh yeah, he powerbombed Tyler Breeze onto like a whole bunch of people outside.
Yeah, he powerbombed him onto Ziggler and Stardust. Then Kevin Owens and Dean Ambrose keep going at it, and then in the middle of that, Dean Ambrose decides to turn his attention to the 3 outside and just jumps on top of them and totally disregards everything else that's going on.
Yeah, but it was crazy. It was like fun, like car wreck kind of carnage in that match.
And all of this fighting and nonsense. Everyone had tons of great spots. Everyone got zigzags and. They were
like double zigzags. Like Ambrose had someone in Dirty Deeds and
Ziggler went and did the zigzags. It was a Dirty Deed zigzag, which was nuts.
It was a dirty zag.
Yeah, it was a dirty zag. But the last spot I definitely need to mention, which was a good spot for Owens and Breeze, was all 4 guys were out in the corner. You got Ambrose, Breeze, Stardust, and Ziggler in the corner. And Kevin Owens, what he does when people are in the corner, he cannonballs them.
Cannonball.
So he starts cannonballing. First, he cannonballs Dean Ambrose. Bam, gets him. Then he goes for Stardust. Bam, hits him. Then he goes for Ziggler. Boom. Last but not least, Tyler Breeze. When he's running towards Tyler Breeze gets up, gives Kevin Owens a super kick and right into a beauty shot and goes for the pin, and Kevin Owens kicks out. But what a great spot.
Yeah, it was really cool. It was exciting, and for a second I was just like, oh, really? Oh, and like, Owens kicked out, but it was just so well done where like for that split second I bought into like, oh, maybe they will put the title on. Like, oh, okay, no, they won't.
No, they won't.
It kept going on, and it was really good, and I think that whole like dirty zag spot eventually led into the finish of the match,
which was Kevin Owens giving Tyler Breeze a good old pop-up powerbomb. And since we know Kevin Owens only uses the pop-up powerbomb when it's a guaranteed victory, he got the 1, 2, 3, and our new IC champ is Kevin Owens.
Yeah, and that's awesome. 2-time champ for Kevin Owens. The fans in us can't help but be happy. It's great. I mean, Ambrose's IC title reign started off so strong, and then he got moved into the main event picture, so it kind of like annoyed me that he was IC champ, so now the title can be the focus of something else, which is a good thing, and it's on Kevin Owens. I can't be angry about that at all.
If I give my 2 cents, it's going to sound like a broken record because I just totally agree with everything you said. But we're really happy that the IC title is on Kevin Owens. Not because we're just Kevin Owens fans. Don't get us wrong. We both enjoy Dean Ambrose as well. Yeah. But the IC title was floundering. It was flapping in the wind. It became an unnecessary accessory for Ambrose since he's in the main event. Now we actually rejoice, people. We actually could care about multiple titles now in the WWE. The US title, the IC title, and the world title. We actually have people going for them, grinding out for them. It's no more accessories for anyone else, which is fantastic.
No, the world title is an accessory for Triple H.
It is until WrestleMania, but you know but now it's more plausible Dean Ambrose could possibly win. With him having the title before having the IC title, I was like, he's just there because he was the second to last man in the Royal Rumble. Now without the IC title and him going to Fastlane without it, I feel. Now, story-wise, for me, I'll be like, oh, now he's more driven. Now he's actually going to do whatever he possibly can.
He was playing that whole point up.
Yeah. With, like, the little thing he did with Roman Reigns in the ring, which we might as well talk about. Poor Roman Reigns, we forget that he's in Fastlane. Remember, he's in that triple threat. He doesn't speak. He doesn't do anything.
No, but they had to find some way to remind us. And they found a way to remind us.
They found a great way. So Paul Heyman comes out. No Lesnar. Just Paul Heyman.
Just Paul Heyman.
And he cuts a promo for Roman Reigns for us to care about Roman Reigns being in this main event at Fastlane.
Yeah, like what it means, what he's got to do, talking about he's got this brotherhood with Dean Ambrose, but he wants to provide for his daughter, and he's got to do one or the other, can't do both. It's either the friendship or your daughter. Like, Heyman just played it up so well. He made Roman Reigns the most interesting he's been since Paul Heyman talked him up the year prior, the beginning of the run for WrestleMania.
Oh my God, so sad that that's the case. But Dean Ambrose almost stole a show. Not even words, just mannerisms. He was in the ring with Roman Reigns because he got attacked by the Dudley Boys. And when he was helping Roman Reigns up, he put him in the dirty deeds, but loosely, and like was making faces to the crowd and almost looked at Roman Reigns
I think it was also supposed to be like Roman Reigns was able to fight out too.
Yeah.
But it's cool that Ambrose went for it. He's like, yeah, we're brothers, but this is what it's about. The thing that everybody points at for,
WrestleMania.
3 months going on. That's what it's about, and I want to win Sunday. And of course, Roman Reigns looks stupid, and he's all smiles. He's like, oh, you almost got me.
Yeah.
Because he's going to win the match in the end. So he's going to be like, oh, who cares what you did before?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But I feel like actually taking the title off Ambrose doesn't make it such a foregone conclusion now, where it's like, well, he doesn't have the title. What if they do call an audible and like have him actually win the match?
Yeah.
I feel like without the title, it's not so cut and dry where it's just like, it's Roman Reigns. Even though I still feel the story to tell is Roman Reigns. But I buy into the idea of Ambrose winning on Sunday a little bit more with him dropping the title.
I want him to win Sunday now.
I want him to win so bad. It's Dean Ambrose. I've been a fan of his, for a while in the WWE. And he's been in the main event a few times. He had a bunch of matches with Seth Rollins and stuff like that. You hear the reactions. He proves that he can hang.
Yep.
The crowd is not reacting to Reigns the way they want them to. How stubborn can these guys be? Like, pull the trigger on Ambrose right now. Now's the time. Listen to the people.
Apparently, Roman Reigns gets huge pops at house shows. It's just the TV crowd for some reason.
The mics just can't get the TV crowd right. Whatever. They started making him interesting a couple months ago and then undid it all, but with all the title wishy-washiness. Because remember, what was it, coming out of TLC? It was just like, wow, Roman Reigns is actually kind of interesting. You heard the crowd. They were starting to get
up because he was getting effed over and over for the title. Every time he was so close, Bray Wyatt tosses a ladder and, something happened and you were like, damn, oh, well, Roman Reigns, And then he won it twice already. He said he's a former 2-time champion.
Yeah. But we had that progression towards the triple threat match going in. We had that progression going into the triple threat match at Fastlane, and I think it's making for an interesting story. Everyone kind of has their own beef with each other going into the match. It's like, Ambrose, Lesnar can't put him down. He just wants to take the ass kicking from Lesnar, but give one to him as well. Lesnar and Reigns have unfinished business from before, and then Reigns and Ambrose are the brothers who have been with each other through thick and thin. But this is the time where one of them has to come out on top to keep chasing their dream. It's really good storytelling going on between the three guys in this match, so I'm excited for it.
Not only that, but let's not forget, Roman Reigns won his first title by beating Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, and it was something that Roman Reigns mentioned in the promo too, because Heyman brought up the fact that he'd have to beat his friend, and Reigns is like, I've done it before. Yeah. I'll do it again, which I think is fine. I don't think it's like being said in a bad way. It's what we say Roman Reigns doesn't have enough of. It's like a confidence thing.
He should be having that confidence.
Yeah, exactly. So I enjoyed that spot in the promo, even though once Reigns opened his mouth, it's just like, oh, you're trying to remember a script.
With us in the studio being excited for the main event at Fastlane, we are going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to break down the entire card for this Sunday's WWE Fastlane, and we are going to continue on with our whole gimmicks portion, but this time we're not talking about the best, we're talking about some of the worst gimmicks that we personally felt was in wrestling as a whole.
You can catch Natal on 3 separate podcasts. Yes, 3. You can catch him on Fight Your Rival with Michael Andronico, Podcast Championship Wrestling with the other half of The Men of 2000 Holds, Steve, and So Says Natal podcasts. You can find all 3 podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Stitcher. And you can follow him on Twitter at SoSaysNatal1, on Instagram at SoSaysNatal, and on Facebook, facebook.com/SoSaysNatal. You can support any of the podcasts by sending your comments, questions, and suggestions to sosaysnatal@gmail.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe across all platforms. You have just been educated.
Welcome back to episode 30 of Podcast Championship Wrestling, hosted by the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Men of 2000 Holds. Now, let's go over this Fastlane card.
Yeah.
So the first match I have on this list is Becky Lynch and Sasha Banks versus Team Bad, which is Naomi and Tamina.
I'm excited for the match just because I really like Becky and Sasha. I like the story that's being built, between them. We mentioned it before. Just Becky, the only true babyface in the company, is like, yo, something bad was done to you. I got to help you out. So now it's just, all right, we got to work together to take out a mutual enemy. I'm enjoying the story being told. It's super simple. I think they could give us something pretty good,
Oh, they'll definitely be able to give us something good because Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch were a team together in NXT. Right now they are the Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger of the tag team world for the Divas. They're supposed to be the odd couple. They're not supposed to work with one another. Hopefully they both win, but I hope this win doesn't stick them together as a team, like kind of how that weird AJ Page one was for a while. I don't want these two characters glued together. I want these two female wrestlers separated from one another.
Oh, yeah, it's like we took care of our mutual business. Now I'm going for the title. You're going for the title. You get in my way, I'm going to step on you.
I hope the match wins with them being victorious, and then Sasha Banks attacks Becky right at the end of the match. Get the good heat, gotta become a heel, and just remind people that she's there for the gold.
You want to remind them that she's the bad guy? You want Sasha to still be a bad guy?
Yeah, she's the boss. She's the legit
I'm fine
boss.
with it. I mean, the crowd cheers her because she's that damn good. But we'd have 2 really good, strong heels in the Divas division because Charlotte, I think, is playing her role really well. So if Sasha went heel also, it'd be awesome. And then I really hope at WrestleMania we got Becky, Sasha, and Charlotte. So it would just make for a good dynamic with 2 heels and 1 babyface in the match.
It would be fantastic. And even though Sasha does get huge pops and she's super over, I think her attacking Becky, who is like the only baby face, they'll find a way to get the crowd to like slowly boo on top of her.
Yeah, and if they let Sasha talk, Sasha can get the crowd to boo her.
Oh, easily. She's pretty damn good on the mic herself. So the next match we have is for the Intercontinental title. I know it just changed hands, but it is our new 2-time Intercontinental Champion Kevin Owens defending his title against Dolph Ziggler. He's here to show the world.
It makes sense. I mean, we were talking the last few weeks about Kevin Owens losing some matches to Dolph Ziggler. We weren't very happy. Like,
he lost like 3 in a row, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was like 2 to Dolph and then 1 to Kalisto. But it was like, oh, what are they going to do with Kevin Owens? And maybe it's bad of me, but like I never give the WWE credit enough where like I think they have foresight in their storytelling. So I don't think they were doing that with the title change in mind.
No.
But since it's happened, it makes sense. It's wins and losses don't get brought up enough and seem to like make a big deal. But this is like, oh, I beat you twice before, so yeah, you're in line for the title since he's the champ now. I'm fine with it. I really hope they don't put the title on Dolph. I'm sorry, I like Dolph, but at this point, putting the IC title on Dolph doesn't really mean anything. Once again, keep the Kevin Owens train rolling.
Yes.
Looking forward to the match, though, because Kevin Owens.
It's going to be a great match. Definitely keep the title on Owens. Owens needs to push. His career is still new. Ziggler's a great mid-card. He does his job very well. If he becomes U.S. champion, sure, whatever. If he becomes IC champ after Kevin Owens held it for a couple of months or whatnot, fantastic, whatever. But as of right now, I really need Owens to hold the title. He's a prize fighter. He says it all the time. He has to have that prize. He has to hold on to it to actually back that up instead of just saying things. He can't be like a Wyatt, a solo Wyatt, who says a bunch of crap and then never backs it up and always loses the big match, which kind of blows chunks. But
and we can't just have a 6-day title run for Kevin Owens because the venting that we would do on the next episode would just really make our listeners cringe. They'd be like, wow, these guys are angry right now.
Yeah, we would go back to basics and there'll be so much profanity being flung around in the studio.
And us talking about how terrible wrestling is and you shouldn't watch it, but you should. Because it's awesome.
You always should watch it even when it's bad. And the next match we have on our hands is for the Divas title. We got Charlotte defending her title against Becky Lynch. Psych, that's what you would think. But remember, she's in a match earlier on. She's actually defending it against Brie Bella because we all know Brie Bella deserves that women's title match.
Well, she beat Charlotte in like a non-title match a couple weeks ago.
Oh, did she?
Yeah. But, Hulu doesn't let you see that
stuff.
stuff.
Hulu don't tell me anything.
I think it works as just like a placeholder match because, again, I want the 3 women that I mentioned before on the big stage at WrestleMania. So it gives Charlotte a chance to just be a champ who gets a win. And I think just the timing with Daniel Bryan's retirement works well for Brie to be challenging for the title. They played up that fact pretty well on Monday. Yes. There was a good exchange with Charlotte and Brie. Progressing their match. One of the things I really liked was Flair was just completely in the background smiling. Like, he didn't talk at all. This was Charlotte and Brie selling the match that they were going to have with each other. And I thought it was good. Brie's not like the greatest talker, but I thought she was, she showed passion, and I liked how she made mention that, like, Charlotte's playing mind games because Charlotte knows that Brie's not going to be an easy win. So she's trying to, like, psych Brie out. I thought it was cool, simple, effective storytelling. And I think Charlotte playing the role of the woman trying to play mind games is just working really well. I want to see Charlotte go over.
Of course.
But I'm hoping for, like, a decent match. I don't think this is going to blow me out of the park, but Brie has shown moments where it's just like, you can be pretty good. And then, like, she just got, like, really stagnant or whatever.
Even though Charlotte is a heel, she's been winning a lot with the assistance of Ric Flair. I mean, that's what a heel does. But I would like Charlotte to defend the title clean and actually beat Brie in the ring without any assistance from Flair on the outside. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool. Like, even if she cheats. Because, like, I'll say that a lot, like, even because they're heels.
Yes.
Like, they can't always have super clean victories, although they should sometimes, just so they seem credible. But even as long as she cheats on her own, like, wins on her own, I'm fine with that, since she's the heel. So I agree with you. I hope for something like that on Sunday also.
The next match we got on our hands is Ryback, Big Show, and Kane versus the Wyatt family, which is the team of Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, and Braun Strowman.
Oh, man, they made that match official?
Yeah, that match is official.
I don't want to watch that match.
Well, it's probably the pre-show match.
No, the pre-show match is the U.S. title match, which we're going to talk about after.
Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about that one after. I mean, obviously we want the Wyatts to go over. They are going to go over. I mean, Ryback, Big Show, and Kane. Really?
Yeah, I really have nothing that I can say about this because I'm not enjoying this feud right now. I mean, Bray's coming out doing his Bray thing, which is always, entertaining for the most part.
He's the killer of Titans now, and he's ushering the new gods. He's going to come flying in on a little gold machine like Orion. You know what I mean? So they're the new gods.
It's your normal Wyatt family stuff, but now they're with players that I really don't want to see them work with.
They just sit and think of different things. They were the new face of fear. Now they're the new Titans, new gods. Like, it's crazy and whatever. But yeah, hopefully they go over. Who cares?
But yeah, Wyatt's woohoo.
Yeah. The next match is which should be on the main card, but for some reason it's the pre-show match. It is 2 out of 3 falls for the U.S. title, and it's Kalisto versus who else? Alberto Del Rio.
Yeah, of course. The feud that won't end.
Never.
I like the inclusion of the 2 out of 3 falls because when Del Rio was explaining it on Raw, he's like, trying to prove that it was a fluke that Kalisto beat him, even though he's a 2-time champ, beating him. So to show that there won't be any kind of flukiness going on. 2 out of 3 falls. You got to beat me twice to really prove that you're the champion, which is cool. They don't break the 2 out of 3 falls out very often.
Yeah.
Sometimes they could be really entertaining. Sometimes they could be boring. So I'm kind of looking forward to this match just because of that stipulation. It made it seem a little bit more interesting to me. I want Kalisto to go over, and then I want them to actually do something with him, because from Royal Rumble till now, I don't feel like they've done really anything meaningful with Kalisto.
I have nothing to say to that because I agree with every damn word. Sometimes I wish we didn't see eye to eye.
But my point was just so fantastic there. It's like, I can't even tack anything on to that.
Yeah, I guess you didn't need to tag me in for that one. And the last match on the card is for the number 1 contender spot for the World Heavyweight title, which is the triple threat between Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, and Brock Lesnar, where Dean Ambrose is going to win and go on to WrestleMania.
No, it's where Roman Reigns is going to win, go on to WrestleMania, fulfill his dream, become John Cena number 3. No. I really hope that's not where they go with. I want Dean Ambrose to win. It's the fan in me, and I'm just really enjoying the way he's being built up. I've said it before. I'm enjoying this feud, and I think Ambrose dropping the title has made it even that much more interesting because it's like, ooh, now there's kind of like a smaller wild card going on for this match. But I expect something decent from them. I think the 3 of them could put on something great, because while Roman Reigns isn't the greatest, you have 2 guys that can help accentuate what he doesn't do so well.
Yeah. But I thought Roman Reigns and Lesnar had a pretty decent match at Mania last year.
Yeah, well, because Lesnar beat him up for most of it. Yeah. But it wasn't a bad match because they told a good story. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't have to be the flashiest thing. Sometimes you tell a really good story. That's all that matters.
And, whatever. If Roman Reigns ends up winning,
you'll roll your eyes.
But hopefully out of that, we get Lesnar Ambrose at WrestleMania. And I'd rather watch that.
That'd be crazy.
I'd rather watch Lesnar Ambrose at Mania than Triple H Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
But I really want to see Triple H, Dean Ambrose.
Yeah, I really want to see that too. I mean, I want to see Dean Ambrose with everybody.
Yeah, I want to see crazy-eyed Dean Ambrose sticking his tongue out, holding the title over his head at the end of WrestleMania.
That'd be such a sight to see, but that's not going to happen.
No, I'm going to think positive. I'm going to put that out in the air, and the booking's going to change, and Dean Ambrose is going to be the next WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Yeah, mark my words.
I will mark those words. They are some wild man. They are some wild man comments that you're throwing out there in the universe. But you know what? I agree. I am riding those coattails. Yeah. Let's go, Dean Ambrose.
That's Fastlane this year. I mean, I guess on paper, I'm a little bit more excited for it this year than I was last year.
I don't remember last year.
Well, I remember the main event last year was the Daniel Bryan Roman Reigns thing, and I wasn't super excited because I was like, we're going to get a good match because he's wrestling Daniel Bryan, but you knew the story that they were trying to tell there was like, he's going to win, he's going to beat Daniel Bryan, and Daniel Bryan's going to accept him, and then that's going to try, like, you knew that's what they were going to do. That's what they did. I don't really remember the undercard. I think it was like the first Cena-Rusev match, which actually turned out to be like the best one, and that was the end of like Monster Rusev, because after that, it's just jobbing out to Cena.
Hey, showed up on a tank and lost.
Yeah.
That's pretty much that.
What an awesome intro. Remember how cool that was?
Intro was so awesome. So don't forget, you could catch Fastlane on the WWE Network this Sunday. We will be watching it. Last week, we talked about our favorites. Some of our favorites. There's too many to mention. And since we shouted heads last week, we now are calling for tails. So it is all the bad gimmicks. Again, not all the ones that we dislike, but a handful of them.
Oh, yeah. If it was all of them, whew.
Yeah. You thought last week's episode was long.
Yeah.
And once again, thank you to everyone who took time out there in the social media world to submit your answers for some of the worst gimmicks that you had to sit down and experience during your time watching the wonderful world of wrestling.
Yeah, it's always fun hearing from you guys. But this should be fun. It's always fun talking about stuff that you dislike more than stuff that you like sometimes.
Always.
And I kind of want to start it off only because something that was on my list is on the TV right now in front of us. And that was like the all-American made Lex Luger.
Holy crap, yeah.
I was never the biggest fan of Lex Luger to begin with, but he was just Lex Luger, whatever. But once they put the America gimmick on him, I really hated it because it was so blatant that it was just like, this is the next Hulk Hogan, this is the next the guy, it loves it, and it was just so cheesy and it didn't work. He had the Lex Express.
Yeah, that giant buzz. He pinned he body slammed Yokozuna. That was the big deal.
Yeah, and it just looked awful too. It was like barely a body. It was worse than the Hogan Andre body slam at WrestleMania. Worse. And it was just like I don't love Hacksaw Jim Duggan, but the whole USA thing with Hacksaw kind of always felt natural with him. But this was just so forced and phony and crappy that this incarnation of Lex Luger is one of my least favorite things ever. And since he was right in front of us, sullying Bret Hart's greatest moment, I figure I should bring him up.
Well, talking about Lex, the thing that blew my mind about the whole Lex Express and, being All-American was when he came down, to body slam Yokozuna, he was still the narcissist. And I was like, yo, this guy comes down the ring with a mirror and stares at himself in the mirror. What does he care about being patriotic? And just because you body slammed a quote-unquote Japanese guy, you automatically come Captain America?
Yeah.
It's a bit outlandish.
It kind of was. And I think part of my resistance also was... well, I can't reiterate it enough because you can't misconstrue. I'm not a Lex Luger fan. Mm-hmm. I like the narcissist gimmick. I thought it worked for Lex Luger.
Yeah, he had the body.
And he was a specimen. So anybody that would have that gimmick where I'm just going to stare at myself, like it worked for Lex Luger. And then, just like, oh, USA and go, Raj. It did nothing for me.
And then he had like the metal plate in his forearm, and that was a big deal.
Yeah, so he had to cover up the forearm, and he quickly faded into obscurity. Like they had nothing to really do with him, so they just put him and the British Bulldog together, and it's like, oh, look, America and Britain, a team. And yeah, it just really sucked and never worked for me.
Another gimmick that went down fast, I think a lot faster than the whole Lex Express thing, was Skinner. Does anybody remember Skinner? I'm not talking about the principal from The Simpsons. I'm talking about the New Orleans chewing tar, tobacco, spitting.
Like alligator hunting.
Yeah, he had like an alligator foot as a necklace. He was so...
And it was around the time of like Repo Man, so it's really that hit or miss kind of stuff, and... This was just a complete miss, because I completely hated him, too, and we were subjected to watching Skinner matches on, like, Superstars and stuff like that. He fought Bret Hart
a bunch of times.
A bunch of times, and it's always good, because it's Bret Hart, so, like, I kind of don't really care who Bret Hart's fighting, but he was just disgusting to watch wrestle, too, because of, like, the tobacco coming out of the mouth, and it was just dumb. I didn't get, like, why is this guy got to be a wrestler?
Yeah.
So I agree with you that is a really stupid gimmick. Alright, so something else I hated. Love Kurt Hennig. Big Kurt Hennig fan. Love Mr. Perfect. But in WCW, you can't be Mr. Perfect.
No.
But eventually they stuck him as a part of the West Texas Rednecks. Remember they had I Hate Rap?
Oh, that's
Rap
right.
Is crap.
Yes.
And, oh, God, I hated it. Just because I was always under the belief that he was so much better than this. I remember like watching the documentary and the family talking that he really loved that time. He had a lot of fun. Well, good for him. But me as a fan, I hated it. Even at the time, I was closed-minded musically, and it was just, I kind of had that same mentality, like rap was crap.
No.
This still wasn't speaking to me, and I just hated it.
That was his like Metallica Load, Metallica Reload portion of his career, where he loved it, and you were just like,
no, that's stricken from the record. But yeah, it was just really bad. And then like Barry Windham was a part of that team too, and I always liked Barry Windham. And come on, he's a horseman. And they're like pantomiming drums and singing Rap Is Crap. It was just terrible. It made me sad.
That is sad. But nothing is as sad as a swashbuckling pirate called Paul Burchill. That guy was one of the main reasons why I actually stopped watching wrestling for a while. I was like, it's a pirate on a rope that swings around near the Titantron. What is this?
Yeah, Paul Burchill was around the time when I wasn't really watching.
Exactly.
Like, got wind of him and didn't care.
No.
Never really went out of my way to watch his stuff. I don't think I've even come across anything with him on the network. Me either.
I haven't seen him on the network, but the couple of little times I caught him when I used to watch wrestling here and there, he burned an image of hatred in my mind that I had to mention him.
And it's also just, it's a pirate in pro wrestling. Yeah. So yeah, I was never a big pirate fan. When there was that like small period in time where there was like the big pirate fan in America, it just kind of like really got on my nerves because I'm like, pirates, who cares? I remember, I forget what her name was when she was with him. She wrestled in TNA under the name Winter. I remember liking her. Like, she was actually pretty good. She had like a small run in WWE, and her TNA run was pretty good too. I don't know what she's doing right now.
I didn't even know he had somebody. I thought he was that much of a failed gimmick that they didn't bother to partner him up with anyone.
I think like they were trying to do like an incest angle with them because she was supposed to be his sister in character. It's one of those things that, like, I read.
Yeah, that does sound familiar.
Yeah, it's like they, that was that. I wasn't watching at the time, so that sounds awful. But
there you go, an incest pirate named Paul Burchill. Like, only in the WWE, people. Only in the WWE.
It's funny. A lot of these guys on my list are gimmicks on people that I really like, which is like a throwback to a question we had a really long time ago. But Dean Malenko, love Dean Malenko.
He was the best, the Iceman.
Oh, he was fantastic. When he was in the WWE and he was like the ladies' man and he was obsessed with like Lita and just, I can get chicks and all this kind of stuff, I hated it. It killed Malenko for me. To the point where I didn't want him on my TV. Like, Malenko would come out and like, just get out of here. I'd rather have Saturn, who's obsessed with the mop. At least that's kind of entertaining me. I'm like, this is just stupid because you're Dean Malenko and you're fantastic. You need nothing more than to break people and then go to sleep and then come back and do it again the next day.
Yeah, he's like the Winter Soldier of wrestling. Like, don't say much, just go in, handle business, and then they'll freeze you again. And rinse and repeat. And that's how I liked him in WCW. He was the Iceman. And the commentators would talk it up. Be like, yo, he don't cut promos or say anything. He just goes in there, does his business, and just dips out.
And it was down to, like, you saw he would walk to the ring. His eyes would never leave the ring. He'd never look at the crowd or anything. Just, like, more focused than anyone in pro wrestling. And then it was just this stupid gimmick about wanting the ladies. And I know WWE tries to have more characters. And you can't rely so much on, I'm the wrestler. But maybe there's sometimes you should just not stray for a certain person. And Malenko was one of those. I really hated it.
Oh, Lance Storm.
Oh, but Lance Storm kind of like worked too. Because, you know, the Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And if I could be serious for a moment. Yeah, but his thing was like, he had no personality. Those always kind of worked. This was like, they weren't making mention to the fact that Malenko had no personality. It was just, he's a ladies man.
Yeah.
Like, so what, he's like the new Val Venus? He just doesn't do it in movies? Pretty much. It didn't work for me.
So since I have a great disdain of pirates, and pirates wear eye patches, the next one on my list is Jean-Pierre Lafitte. I did not like that wrestler. Did not like his eye patch. I could care less about him.
Did you like him when he was one half of the Quebecers and he didn't have an eye patch?
No, I didn't like him at all in any way, shape, or form. Not at all. I did not like him. That's all I have to say. I don't remember matches. I don't know why else I don't like him. But again, just the whole pirate thing? Yeah, I just didn't like him. He just...
Well, I guess I can't fault you on that. You have your reasons, even though you don't know what they are. You know that you don't like him. And that's reason enough for me.
All I know is that his name doesn't make me smile, so therefore he belongs in the bad gimmicks.
All right, somebody who I hated, and I have my reasons, and I know exactly what they were, was the Demon in WCW. This was the guy that they had dress up like Gene Simmons from Kiss. It was Gene Simmons on steroids, essentially. I'm not a fan of Kiss, and I hate Gene Simmons in particular, so the fact that we had this in pro wrestling, there was no way I could be a fan of it.
I thought it was Crush.
Yeah, for a long time I thought it was him too, and then I think like Bryan Adams showed up, and you're like, well, maybe it's not him. He sucked so bad in the ring. It was Gene Simmons as a wrestler, basically. Literally. It just sucked. He came out to like a crappy live version of God of Thunder. It just did nothing for me except hate WCW even more and make me question why I was watching Thunder.
See, that's the thing. I don't remember D-Man, but when I was watching the WWE Network, he showed up, and I was like, what is this crap? I can't believe I didn't remember this. This is so bad that this is definitely something that I need to remember, like a Paul Burchill. But it totally escaped me, and the WWE Network reminded me how bad the Demon was.
Oh, man, I guess that's like one of the bad things about WWE Network. It reminds you of things like that. I hated him.
Another team that I get reminded of from time to time, especially when I watch, the heyday of the 80s of wrestling, is the Bushwhackers. I couldn't stand that gimmick, and I was supposed to care about that gimmick because I was a kid, but again, I was a Taker kid. I was happy when he showed up and pinned Hulk Hogan and all that fun stuff.
I also just thought the Bushwhackers were gross looking.
Exactly, that's the main thing, like the licking, and I always thought that their hats really pissed me off because they were already like half eaten, and I was like, they eat their hats too? Like, stop it. You don't even have teeth. How you eating your hats like that? And the whole, like, their finisher together with the battering ram, they just seem like a bunch of buffoons who didn't know they were wrestling and just found a way to win. And I didn't like that. And before that, I never saw them wrestle as the Sheep Herders. But I heard before they were like a serious tag team.
Yeah, like they were heels in other territories. Yeah, and these were just dumb guys.
And Vince said, "Nah, we're gonna turn you face," and they were like, "Good luck." And Vince is a genius.
It worked.
Yeah. He turned them face.
Yeah, we didn't like them, but you heard the crowd. We knew people who liked them.
Yeah.
It worked, but I agree with you. I didn't really like the Bushwhackers too much either.
Whatever. That's all I gotta say about the Bushwhackers. They suck.
Well, that was eloquent, and that's all that you need to say. Someone else that sucks, I gotta say it with the harshness that you did, was Dean Douglas. I liked Shane Douglas. Yes. Shane Douglas was awesome, especially the franchise. He was great.
Oh my God.
Dean Douglas, the teacher who would correct the way you said words and run his fingers down the chalkboard. It was just awful, and it was during that really crappy gimmick period in the mid 90s in WWE, and this was almost like the epitome of it. It was just so stupid. It wasn't played well. As much as I liked Shane Douglas, he just didn't play Dean Douglas well.
Yeah.
And I get it. You're supposed to have things that you can relate and hate. And I mean, I guess we're 16, so we don't really like our teachers. But even then, I couldn't see that in there. It's just this is just really stupid. And why is the entire locker room just not pouncing on this guy? Yeah. That was kind of always my reaction to Dean Douglas.
It was a bad gimmick, unfortunately, on a pretty decent wrestler, because I did like him as Shane Douglas.
Yeah, especially in ECW, because there was no joke. He was the franchise, and he played that role spectacularly.
Yeah, wasn't he the one who said this isn't Eastern Championship Wrestling anymore?
Yeah, he's the one that makes the big, the promo and all that stuff. Yeah, it was him, and he was fantastic there, but you had to wait through the crap before he was allowed to be something good. Again, Paul Heyman, just a genius.
Yep.
Knew how to play Shane Douglas, but Vince didn't and made him a dean.
Yeah, awful.
He had that awful, graduation robe. It was almost like they sat in the back and they were like, how could we make the genius worse?
Yeah.
And that was how.
And to make the genius even worse is turn him into Max Moon. Remember Max Moon?
Oh my God, yeah.
That's my next gimmick on the list. And I got blown away a couple of months ago. I found out that Max Moon is Conan.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. And I text the other half of Men It's 1,000 Holds. I was like, did you know Max Moon was Conan? And of course he knew.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, where you been?
Yeah, where I've been. Obviously not hanging out with Max Moon and finding out that he's Conan. But man, what an awful gimmick with him shooting fireworks out of his arms. And I think he ended up losing his job, and now they use the Max Moon gloves to shoot T-shirts at people into the stand.
That's funny. I don't even remember the gimmick. I just remember ridiculous ring gear. I remember the whole stupid jetpack thing. He would hop up on the steps.
Yes.
It just looked absurd.
Yeah, he would shoot fireworks out of his Gatling gun Mega Man arms. It was just really bad, and he had Cyrax dreadlocks coming out of the back of his head.
Yeah, he had that Mortal Kombat. Oh my God, yes.
It was a mess. he looked like a kid that didn't give a crap, that had to finish a final, and that was his drawing. And WWE was turn that drawing into reality, and that was Max Moon.
Oh man. I just don't understand what they were thinking around that time. Because another one that I have around that time that I hated was Doink.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
A clown.
A clown. A clown in pro wrestling. If pro wrestling, especially as fans, we don't get enough flack from other people where we're constantly having to defend this. But then you give us a clown.
Wrestling's real, and then a clown rolls by.
Yeah, and then a clown rolls by. And then the things they did with the clown I thought were stupid, where... we have 2 Doinks, and it's just great. How can you make the clown's opponents look even stupider? You add an extra one to it. And then we got Dink, which I really hated. I
hated Dink.
The little people version of Doink, and it just did nothing for me. And it was always in the end, I'm just it's a clown in pro wrestling. At the beginning, he was a heel, and I didn't love it, but it was just kind of it makes sense, because I think there's a creepy vibe to clowns.
Yes.
But then he's just a face, and why do I need to cheer this guy? He's a clown.
And didn't he hang out with the Oddities after a while too, or something like that?
I don't know. He might have. Doink's one of those guys where I remember him, but I try to forget as much as possible as I can about him. I remember him and Dink losing to Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon at WrestleMania 10 and being so happy about that. Just because I love Bam Bam and hated Doink.
Yeah, I remember that. I still remember that. I love Bam Bam and Luna. Luna was fantastic. She was so creepy, crazy, veiny face.
And her, death metal voice.
Yeah, and she was Gangrel's ex-wife before she passed away. Just nuts. All right, next, get back into this worst gimmick topic, because I did like Luna Vachon. She does not belong on the worst gimmick topic. She does not belong on the worst gimmick list, but this guy definitely does, because I did not like this gimmick. I didn't like any of his gimmicks, but people like him. 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Really?
I did not like it. It just seemed like one of those gimmicks that no one put any thought into. It was what do we call this guy? Oh, let's just call him 1, 2, 3 Kid. Granted, yeah, because he beat Razor Ramon.
Yeah, because he was
1,
just
2,
the kid
3,
before
he was the kid, but 1, 2, 3 Kid, I was just really give him a better name than that. And then we got X-Pac and Six Pack and all those other
like
ones.
none of his wrestling names made sense.
None of them.
I think like in the indies before, or whatever the indies were, but I remember like reading issues of Pro Wrestling Illustrated. He was the Lightning Kid, and it made
I would have
sense
been fine with that
because like at the time he was like
he had lightning kicks and everything,
doing stuff people weren't doing. So yeah, that's what he was called then. I kind of liked him in ring. I mean, eventually he got tiresome like near the end of X-Pac. But early into that run, I did like the 1-2-3 Kid, but I agree with you. I didn't like the 1-2-3 Kid gimmick.
Yeah, I didn't like the gimmick.
It was very just like, well, what is this?
Yeah.
And it was also frustrating, too, because he was the 1-2-3 Kid after, like, his first win. If it was something where it's like, oh, he always beats people, so 1-2-3, like, I would have gotten it. But no, that wasn't the case. It was just, he lost on a couple of Monday Night Raws and then beat Razor Ramon.
And then as 1-2-3 he started wearing like silk ninja tops, and I was like, "What's going on here? Hey, you're doing like crazy Elvis Presley moves inside the ring." But yeah, 1-2-3 whatever. Sean Waltman, I'm not saying he's horrible, but that gimmick was.
Yeah, it got a little bit more interesting when they turned him heel and put him together with DiBiase.
Yeah,
I kind of like that, but still, it's 1-2-3 Kid, whatever, and it's just a really dumb name. All right, we're gonna go pretty current with mine right now. I hate King Barrett.
Barrett. Yeah, that's if you could even really call that a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's just there.
Yeah,
he just stands there. He doesn't even talk or do anything. But like, I'm talking about when he won the King of the Ring up until like Cosmic Wasteland. I just hated it. It was very just generic and bow before me kind of stuff that he was spouting. They did nothing with him, and I was a really big fan of Barrett prior to that. I mean, I'm still a fan of him. It's just he's been squandered for the last like 4 years.
And he's injured.
Yeah, he's had a lot of tough breaks like that too. But there were so many times where I've said it a lot with him. They could have pulled the trigger on him. But this last run is just the King. I'm never the biggest fan of the King gimmick to begin with. I think Booker T was like the last really good one. Yes. King Booker was fantastic. So this was just you took the Bad News Barrett thing, which was actually pretty interesting. He was starting to get interesting again. And then just turned him into this stupid generic King. I just really hate it. And it's just a dumb thing. I'm tired of the King in wrestling. It just needs to go away.
First, I was excited when he won King of the Ring because I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!" Now he's the King of Bad News. Like,
yeah, you thought that's where they were going to go with it.
Yeah, it's such a win-win gimmick. There's no way that could fail. You don't even have to put much thought in that. But no, they didn't go.
No, they were like, "No, people seem to be getting behind the bad news thing, so we got to stop that."
Yeah, so I'm afraid I got some bad news for you, Wade Barrett. Your career is gone because they decided to make you the King of the Ring, which is such a shame because I do enjoy Wade Barrett. I mean, I enjoyed him more as Florence Knight in FCW than King Barrett. Jeez. The next guy on my list is someone that I don't care if they got to push in any way, shape, or form. I did not like him, and it was the only reason to have a Stone Cold Stunner in WCW, and that was Disco Inferno.
How could you not like Disco Inferno? Disco Inferno? No, dude, I'm so full of it. I hated Disco Inferno, too. It was just turning the John Travolta character from Saturday Night Fever into a gimmick.
It was like a honky-tonk man.
He was so irritating, and he was one of those guys where it's just like, he's never gone.
Yeah.
And they found ways to reinvent Disco Inferno when he wasn't doing the disco wear and stuff anymore. They had it with the Filthy Animals and stuff like I didn't get it. I was like, really? What? Why is this guy still a thing? But yeah, he was super irritated, especially at the beginning, doing like all the 70s dance moves and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I cannot disagree with you at all. I hated Disco Inferno.
And he had a Stone Cold Stunner as his finisher, which I thought was hilarious.
It was almost kind of like an FU to the WWE. Yeah. It's like, oh, your top guy does that? Well, look, our Disco Man does that. Sticking with WCW, and I know this was on your list, but it was mine too. It was that bad. Glacier.
Oh my god, that guy was awful.
Oh my god, turning a Mortal Kombat character into a pro wrestler. I mean, I guess on paper
it makes sense.
It kind of makes sense because of the way pro wrestling is. But
an Ice Ninja that fits in the world of wrestling. Like just the thought of it, like an Ice Ninja does work. I remember the vignettes, and if I was a little younger, I probably would have been excited. That probably could have been my warrior. But since we were a little older, I was like, look at this cheap ass Sub-Zero.
Yeah, we were probably like 16 or something like that, so it did not work. If we were 11, we would have been like, this guy's great!
Yeah.
Because like, the intro was cool. He had the fake snow, the cool like laser lights. He did his fake ninja stuff in the ring. But oh man, at 16, we saw right through it and we were just like, this sucks.
Yes. It's so bad.
It looks dumb. This guy sucks in the ring.
They spent so much money on that trash. It's poor WCW. What a bad gimmick.
No, not poor WCW. They did it to themselves.
Yeah, that's true. I don't remember any of his moves or like matches.
Yeah, because he was completely unforgettable. Because it was just his gimmick was Ice Ninja. That's why we remember it, and we remember it because it sucks.
Yeah, he's an Ice Ninja.
Even a stupid clown in pro wrestling makes more sense than Ice Ninja.
Yeah, it does. This guy, the next guy we're going to talk about right now, I totally forgot, but we're talking about Ice Ninjas. We got to talk about my man Mountain Rock. What an awful gimmick. He was just a horribly overweight guy who played a guitar that was never plugged in the middle of the ring.
No, I think it was plugged in.
I
think he actually played that guitar.
Oh, God.
So it was an ugly guitar in the WWF logo.
Yeah.
You remember that? He was like head to toe in like tie-dye ring
Yes.
gear. Oh, he was Max Payne in WCW, which it's just a better name.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was so good. It's a fantastic video game franchise. But like he had dark hair and skulls.
Yeah.
Again, it's still stupid. Like, oh, look, I play guitar. And he would do that too, play the guitar. But like at least he kind of looked mean. He looked so stupid. He was that bright, colorful, crappy era of WWE. And I agree with you. It was awful.
Mountain Rock.
Standing in the ring, playing that guitar, headbanging, and just making me roll my eyes. Because I'm like, yo, I listen to heavy music, and this is not me. I am not this guy. It's like, it's the headbangers thing. It's like, you were telling people that this is me, and that is not me.
Yeah, I associate myself with Man Mountain Rock. That is a fallacy, good sir. And I say good day on that gimmick.
And who thought of that name? Were they really just like picking out Mad Mountain Rock? Like, what is that?
Oh, man.
What is a Mad Mountain Rock?
It's a mountain made out of rock that's also a man. It's a Man Mountain Rock.
Was it man or mad? Who cares?
I think it was mad or man. Mad man.
It was Madman Mountain Rock.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast. Holy
I'm sure
crap.
that's what they wanted to call him, and they couldn't say that. Yeah, but yeah, I agree with you. He was terrible, and again, not very memorable. Like I don't remember him in the ring.
I don't remember anything.
Like I think like the Fujiwara armbar was his finisher.
Oh,
in WCW.
I don't remember if he had a face or not. Like that's how much I don't remember.
But you just remember this faceless guy playing guitar that you hated. Hell yeah, I'm all for that. Let's go with like other horrible things that made no sense. Shockmaster. Shockmaster had like a memorable entrance for all the wrong reasons.
Poor guy.
But in the end, when they took the glittered Stormtrooper helmet off him, he just wore like a construction helmet and like a denim shirt, and that was it. Like, what was he the master of shock of? Was he just an electrician?
I think he was an electrician. Is that what he is? Yeah.
So this crazy Stormtrooper dude just turns into an electrician. Either way, I hated it. It didn't last very long, thankfully. But yeah, any kind of trade in wrestling doesn't work for me. I mean, you love Duke the Dumpster. Sorry, Garbage Man does not work for me. Garbage Man would be on my list. Trash. So we got electrician. Like all we needed was a plumber, and you would have had like this. Oh, actually,
there was a
had one at one point. Yes,
there was.
But if they were together, we could have had this fantastic faction.
They could have had a stable going on called Blue Collar or Union, the Union, and they can't get fired because they're part of a union. Like that would have totally worked.
I think there was a union. It was around the corporate ministry time. It was like Test and Mick Foley and Ken Shamrock or something like that.
That sounds like a union. Poor Mick Foley. Why is he doing in a crowd like that? You know, to make his gimmick complete, what they should have had was a patch of carpet on the side of the ring, and he just run on it as hard as possible, and then run in the ring and tap someone and shock them.
I think that would be fantastic.
At least he would have matched the name of his gimmick. They're like, oh no, he's going for the Shockmaster.
Yeah.
Like, it would have been fantastic. Electrocuting people with carpet in the middle of the ring.
They could have had the sound effect that they had for the Mounties cattle prod.
Yes.
They could have had that when he hit people with it. Another wasted opportunity.
Another one. And this was far from a wasted opportunity at all. The next gimmick that I need to talk about is the Berserker.
Oh, that was dead in the water.
Oh, that was awful. For some reason, when I was a kid, it felt racist, even though I didn't know much about the world. But for some reason, it felt like a racist gimmick. It was just a big dude with some big hair and some big beard holding his wrist and always going, huff, huff, huff. I did not understand it. And didn't he have like a Viking helmet?
Yeah,
didn't
Viking
like
helmet.
One of the horns was missing or something?
I don't remember if one of the horns was missing, but he was complete with like shield and
yeah, that's
sword.
right. He had a shield.
Remember
and
he tried
sword.
stabbing Undertaker with the sword.
Oh my god, this guy was awful.
I mean, I didn't love Berserker. I don't hate him as much as you do, but I was a kid, so like I walked around my house holding my wrist, hussing like
me
a madman.
too, but I didn't like it.
You were like, why am I doing that? I think I did that when I wanted my mom to make me grilled cheese or something.
That's awesome.
But I always thought he was just unique. He was one of those larger than life characters where it was almost just like, why aren't him and the Barbarian a team?
Yeah,
that's what I always thought when I was a kid.
Made total
especially
sense.
that last era of the Barbarian where he was in Conan.
Yeah, he was literally a barbarian.
And then Berserker was paired with Mr. Fuji, which made no sense.
No.
But that always seemed like after Demolition and what was it, The Powers of Pain, that always seemed to be most of Fuji's parents. Why are these guys together? And then Yokozuna. That kind of made sense.
That made sense.
Yeah, I don't have a hatred towards the Berserker, but I do kind of understand why you would hate the Berserker so much. And also another part of his gimmick was he used to just throw people over the top rope. Remember that? To get the count-out wins? And then they always used to play it up at the Royal Rumble, and he did nothing in the Royal Rumbles.
Oh my god. Sounds like the Y family all over again. So we have to stop ourselves before we keep going on and on and on about these gimmicks and on and on. But we're not going to stop just yet. We stopped ourselves. We're not stopping you. It is your turn, guys, to hear some of your worst gimmicks in wrestling. So let's start off the list. First one is Red Rooster took a great wrestler and made him into a joke. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I like Terry Taylor. I remember, it was one of those things where when I was a kid, I didn't know why I liked Terry Taylor. I just liked Terry Taylor. But the Red Rooster was just so stupid.
It was dumb.
Come on, he's that delusional. He thinks he's a rooster. Why does he have a job? Why aren't you guys getting him psychiatric help?
Yeah,
it was a really stupid gimmick.
I mean, whatever. It was another era. It was another time. Now something like that would not fly. Anyway, neither would Tatanka.
It would. You know what? The Red Rooster would probably work now. If NXT did it, we'd be like, "Did you see the Red Rooster? He's great." Tatanka, man. Oh, I forgot about Tatanka. I hated Tatanka.
Tatanka, man. That theme song was so racist. Anyway, he's not on the list, but he definitely should be on the list.
Yeah, he should have been on the list.
Next answer we have is any WCW Mike Awesome gimmick. That 70s guy or Chubby Chaser Mike Awesome. These sound awful. I don't remember Mike Awesome being in WCW.
I remember him in WCW. I don't remember the Chubby Chaser one too well, but I remember that 70s guy Mike Awesome, and I hated it. He had the Farrah Fawcett, feathered hair.
Oh my god!
Because it was around the time when that '70s show was popular. Yeah. So of course, it's pro wrestling. You borrow from pop culture a lot, and this did not work. He used to have interview segments, and they were set up with lava lamps, and it looked very '70s. But one thing is, Awesome wasn't really the greatest talker.
Yeah.
So you give him an interview show, it just made no sense. But yeah, I totally agree with this person's right. And again, don't remember Chubby Chaser, but that 70s guy was terrible.
That sounds awful. Maybe I could catch some of it on the WWE.
You probably do. I think they have all the nitros up there.
There you go. Next one on the list is Eugene. Now, growing up, I didn't like him because I was like, why would I care about a character like this? I actually felt, that WWE was poking fun at people with special needs. Mm-hmm. But it actually turns out that it was a really positive thing, and even the wrestler himself loved playing Eugene, and he got a lot of positive feedback, from a different podcast that he's been on that I listened to. And I was actually shocked. So it actually changed my perspective on the character, since so many positive things came out of a character that I thought nothing but negative would come out of. Because it's a special needs wrestler.
Yeah, and it's really a fine line. Actually, a friend of mine, we always kind of have this debate on the Eugene character, because he's not a fan of him either. And granted, I don't love Eugene, but he never bothered me. It almost seemed like a kid to me. You would see him, he would just mimic stuff from his favorite wrestlers.
Yeah.
And so it's really just balancing that line. Part of it is just it takes a lot to offend me.
Yeah.
So it never came across as offensive to me. I mean, again, I didn't love him, but I kind of liked Eugene. He made me smirk. Mm-hmm. So I can't put him on a list of gimmicks that I hated. It's funny, a special needs wrestler. It's almost worse than
Ice Ninja.
Yeah, but I'm fine with special needs wrestler.
It's crazy. Ice Ninja sounds better on paper than special needs wrestler, but special needs wrestler trumps Ice Ninja in execution.
Totally.
Which is hilarious. Oh man. And the last one on the list that shouldn't be a wrestler in any way, shape, or form, and this really did happen in the WCW, and that is RoboCop. RoboCop himself.
Yeah, RoboCop came in. That was just an awful angle.
He saved Sting from prison.
Yeah. Just ripped those bars right off the door.
So bad.
Thankful for RoboCop that we still have a Sting, and then Sting ruined it for himself 20 years later.
Yeah. If RoboCop did not get Sting out of jail, he would have never fought Seth Rollins at Night of Champions.
Oh, man. You see, WWF and WWE, like whatever you want to call it, did some bad things, but WCW did some things where you were like, how did you guys not go out of business sooner?
Faster, yeah. Like, we understand how you lost, but how come you didn't lose faster?
Yeah, and I mean, WWE would do like the celebrities and stuff like that, and sometimes they would come in character, but they always kind of did it in a manner that worked, and it was kind of believable. But this was RoboCop, guys.
That's like if they had Wolverine like show up in the WWE to like break a Hell in a Cell or something.
And it's like not Hugh Jackman, no, Wolverine. Yeah, it would be just as bad. Oh my god, that was awful. But it's one of those awful moments that just makes me laugh. So it was just so bad. It's great.
It's one of those things you almost don't believe ever happened, because I don't remember it as a child. And then a friend of mine reminded me, like, remember when RoboCop showed up at WCW? And I was like, that never happened. And luckily in the 21st century we live in, I looked up RoboCop WCW and I'm like, you're kidding me. RoboCop did show up in WCW.
Oh, there's so many WCW things like that. You gotta look up, I think it was the build to Bash at the Beach, where British Bulldog saved Sting from a boat that was about to explode because Vader put a bomb on it. Like WCW did stuff like that.
Holy, that's at Miami Vice status.
That's not a bad gimmick, but that's really an angle that made you go, what?
That is a really, really bad angle. Wow. Let's not get into angles right now.
No, that we could say for another time, but we'll whet your appetite a little bit, guys.
Yeah, so who knows? Maybe best and worst angles are on the horizon. But what we could tell you 100% is this is the end of episode 30 of Podcast Championship Wrestling. Again, thank you guys so much for taking your time, for sitting down, listening to this podcast, comment, liking, sharing, subscribing, doing all those wonderful things.
Because we know you're doing it.
We know you're doing it. We feel it in our hearts. We see it when we check our stats. It's phenomenal. And thank you once again for all those who contributed to this episode of Podcast Championship Wrestling. This is Natal saying goodbye for Steve. And remember, we have 2,000 more than you.
This match, and still PCW Tag Team Champions, the men of 2000 holds, Natal and Steve.